Coming up next, from San Fran Freak Show, The Savage Nation, from Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
Jeff Kuhner of the Washington Times filling in for the living legend Michael Savage. Michael is off today, taking a much-needed day off, but he will definitely be back and fully loaded and ready to go. My friends, it's good to be here again. As many of you know, I have filled in for Michael in the past. It is truly an honor and a privilege to fill in for him every time. The man is literally a living legend of talk radio. He is the world heavyweight champion of talk radio. He is somebody that I have admired now for many years for his independence, his courage, his intelligence, his wit, and his patriotism. And Michael, again, your shoes are so big, they're impossible to fill. But if you're listening out there, thank you so much again for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. There is a lot that we'll be talking about. You can go to michaelsavage.com for some of the latest stories. We're going to talk about what's happened in North Korea with Bill Clinton's intervention. We'll be talking about healthcare and some of the latest developments there. But first, what I really want to talk about is something that I found, frankly, stunning. And that was the recent profile of Michael in the New Yorker magazine. It's in the current issue. It's done by Khalifa Sene, who's basically a music and jazz critic, a cultural critic. And I have to say, when I first heard about the New Yorker doing the piece on Michael, and when the piece was first published, I honestly expected this to be a liberal hit piece. For those of you that don't read the New Yorker, it is essentially a magazine for the New York leftist intelligentsia. It's clearly liberal, even socialist on some things. It is a cultural magazine. It looks at film criticism. It looks at art. It looks at novels. It's really for the sort of New York artsy-fartsy crowd in Greenwich Village, and many of them obviously politically very far to the left. Yet, to my utter shock and amazement, this piece was extremely sympathetic to Michael. There is a lot of extremely good information there. I recommend all of you to go and read it. It's very, very well written. And I have to say, as somebody who is a columnist and earns basically my living through the pen, Khalifa Sene can write. And I think in many ways he captures the essence of Michael Savage. And what Khalifa Sene points out in the New Yorker article is that what Michael Savage has done over the past 15 years, and this point cannot be stressed enough, is that he has created an independent conservative movement in the United States. What you people in the Savage Nation represent is the bastion of independent conservatism. It is people like you that champion borders, language, and culture, which are the great triumvirate values of the Michael Savage Show and of the Savage Nation. And he has done this in the face of immense opposition, both from the left and from the right. And what this piece shows is that at his core, and I think this is the reason why Michael has been immensely successful on the air, is that he is more than a political commentator. Michael is more than just a pundit. He's more than just a mouthpiece for the Republican Party. If you want to get that sort of stuff, there are other people you can listen to. What you're going to get from Michael Savage is something different. You're going to get somebody who in many ways is a talk radio artist. He is almost a one-man play. He is somebody that is not only personally engaging, but speaks truth to power. He is somebody who will call it like it is. And whether it's popular or not, he doesn't care. And I truly believe that this has been the secret to his success. Now, yes, look, there's no denying this fact. And this is my opinion, and I think many people would bear this out. On a pure talent basis, Michael Savage is by far the best talk radio talent there is. And I'm going to say something now that maybe Michael is not going to like, and maybe many of you in the Savage Nation aren't going to like. But I'm going to be very honest. To me, there are only two talk radio icons. There are truly only two talk radio revolutionaries. And I know I shouldn't mention the opposition, but in all fairness, if you look at the early 1990s, when Rush Limbaugh first broke on the scene, there's no getting around the fact. He transformed AM radio. AM radio was dying until Rush Limbaugh came along. And he made the idea of political talk radio sexy again. He made political talk radio a gigantic political force in this country by galvanizing opposition to the Clinton administration. And I think he's gotten long in the tooth. I think he's gotten flabby. I think he's been resting on his laurels. I think in many ways he is past his prime. I know he's doing well now in terms of ratings, but that's only because Obama's singling him out. So people are listening to say, hey, what is this man saying? But in terms of his talk radio talent, he is, to me, an overweight. He's gone through prescription drugs, has damaged, and I think he's gotten tired. I think he's somebody who has said what he has to say and doesn't have much left to say. What is unique about Michael, and this is why I believe he's the other great revolutionary, and I think his legacy will even be more enduring and lasting than Limbaugh, is that Michael showed that you do not have to be part of the Republican establishment or the conservative establishment to succeed in talk radio. In other words, Michael Savage embodies the dream of the son of immigrants, in which you come to America and on your own strength and hard work and determination, on your own talent, on your own desire and drive to succeed, you can pick yourself up by the bootstraps and literally rise yourself to the top. You can climb to the top. And that's what this man has done. And my friends, make no mistake about it. He has done it solely on his own voice and on his own talent. And he has done this as a man who is a maverick. He is not somebody who sucks up to the Republican power establishment. He is not somebody who sucks up to Fox News. He's not. And for this, he has been vilified, not just by the left, because you would expect it from the left, because they hate any conservative of consequence and of intelligence, but from many on the right. And he has managed to survive over 15 years, and frankly, not just survive, but prosper. He now, as the New Yorker piece laid out, has the third most popular show in the country with at least 8 million listeners. Frankly, I hear from other people it's closer to 10, maybe even 12 million listeners a week. In other words, Michael Savage is the Rocky Balboa of talk radio. He is somebody who keeps taking a beating and keeps going forward. He takes a punch and he keeps coming. And I believe that that has been the secret to his success. And what he has done is that he has carved out, in my view, freedom of speech in this country. He has carved out intellectual freedom in this country. And if you look at what he's been able to do over the last 15 years, there's no getting around it. It's a miracle. It really is a miracle. It would have been thought of as utterly unimaginable 10, 15 years ago. Because the only way other conservative talk radio hosts have succeeded is they tether themselves, they yoke themselves to the Republican Party and to the mainstream conservative establishment. And if you deviate from that, they exercise you. They just throw you out. You're like a heretic. And as the New Yorker piece, I think, brilliantly shows, Michael Savage, I'm quoting now from the piece, is an anomaly. He is a heretic among heretics. Nearly as contemptuous of his fellow radio stars, he refers to Limbaugh as the golfer and calls Beck the hemorrhoid with eyes, as he is of President Obama. He calls himself a genuine independent conservative, which is kind of a sales pitch and apparently an effective one. And it is. And I think Michael really, in this sense, is the real deal. And what he has shown is that in an industry full of cowards and hypocrites, in an industry of people who are just literally gold diggers, who will say one thing on the air but practice something else in their personal lives, Michael Savage is the real deal. He is a man who speaks from the heart. He says what he means, and he means what he says. And at his core, what is it that he champions? He champions a distinct national sovereignty and cultural identity that